That's how managers are graded on a different scale. Now this is John Cusack in a great movie called The Martian Child. Now he's there with his adopted son, who is an alien, a young man, 9 years old, 11, I forget how old he is. And he's from Mars. Well, the movie's not quite sure if he's from Mars or just an alien or just a normal child. Kind of hard to tell the difference between if he's an alien or not. The movie doesn't quite make that clear. But John Cusack, as this terrific character, is explaining to this young man a philosophy of life that's actually a metaphor for management. That if you're an individual contributor, you must be perfect. But if you're a manager, do you have to be perfect? No. Is your boss, are you as the manager, are you going to strike out a lot of times? Yeah. So John Cusack talks about that. And let me pull up this clip. Or not. Superstar.
That's a nice strikeout, huh? It's called a strikeout. It's pretty cool, huh? You want a peanut? You know what's really cool about baseball? You know what I love about baseball? Baseball's the only sport where you can fail 70% of the time and still be great. It's about trying hard and never, ever, ever giving up. Just think about it. If you can hit 3 out of every 10 times you're at bat, you're really good. If you do a little bit better than that, just a little bit better than that, maybe 3.2, 3.3 times, you're great. And you can be a star. You can make it to the big show. If you do that in the big show, you're a superstar.
If you can do that in the big show, you're going to be a superstar. Let me explain how he does that. That the manager is not going to be right 100% of the time. I mean, that's not his grade. His grade is, the manager's grade is different from that of the individual contributor. That managers are not perfect. Okay. Now, remember, journalists, writers, analysts, they look at management through the prism of perfection. And if the manager is not perfect, they lose their sense of humor because I'm telling you, managers don't have to be perfect. But the work of the employees must be perfect. Oh, the hypocrisy! The manager doesn't have to be perfect, but his people do. Managers are not perfect. Let's close on this, that the goal of the staff is to do the job right, efficiency, but the goal of the manager is to do the right job. His measure is effectiveness. Is he effective? The formulas? Now, we're here at the end of part 1. We need to ask the question, how do we so control events or positively influence events to accomplish the organization's goals? We'll talk about that in part 2. Thank you. Good morning again. I want to welcome you to part 2 of the 1 Minute Manager Meets the Monkey. My name is Jack Yoest. I'm an adjunct professor of business management here at the Northern Virginia Community College. We're here in the Alexandria campus in the brand new lecture hall of the Bisdorf building. I want to welcome you to the second segment. Here in this segment, we're going to talk about how the manager gets support from his organization and so develops relationships around him that he accomplishes the mission of the organization, because that's his goal. And how does he do that? How does he work with those relationships? How does he control events or positively influence them? Now, if you lived on a desert island and you're all by yourself, you're lost on a desert island, and you're alone on the desert island, and you're growing tomatoes. You can do what you want, when you want, where you want. You're accountable to no one. You can do whatever you want to do. But the instant that somebody else comes onto your island, the dynamics change, relationships change. Everything changes and how one gets work done. It gets complicated on this lost island as soon as you add more people. the more people you add, the more complicated it gets, and pretty soon you have organizations, and then you have something that's complicated and it's hard to figure out as the Dharma Initiative. It's hard to figure out. Now, the one thing about the future and trying to control events is that it's going to come here on time, and it's not going to look like what we expect it to look like. So we've got to be able to predict the future, to anticipate, adapt, and learn. As a manager, how would we do that? There is a web of relationships we have around us, a molecule of management. We're going to start with you. You in the center. When I say you, I want you to be thinking about you as you sit in the seat, you individually. And when I see you, I'm thinking about me as the you in the center of my molecule. I'm not talking about the bowling team you. I'm not talking about the group think you. I'm talking about you as you sit there. The most important, in an organization, the most important person in your life is your boss. Now you'll notice I started with your boss. I didn't start with your staff. I started with your boss. The most important person in your organization to you is your immediate boss to whom you report. Your boss controls two things with you. First, he controls how much money you make. He controls how much money you make, and he also has the power to hire and fire you. Okay, so that's two real good reasons to pay attention to what your boss says. The most important relationship is your boss because he can set your priorities. Now, just the second behind that would be your staff, them. Now remember, what I want to do is to get the active support of those around me. So I want to have the active support of my boss, and I want to have the active support of my staff. Not just compliance, not just doing what they're told to do, but I want to have the active support of my staff. Now, in 1998 through 2000, I worked with a unit, and we did the Y2K conversion for a $5 billion enterprise. And I didn't know what I was doing, okay? But I was lucky because nobody did. Now, the only way that we were able to make that succeed is that I was lucky enough to get some very smart people to actively support what we were trying to do. Okay? It wasn't just the staff. I had the support of my boss, but there were two other groups that I had to work with. Internal peers. Now, we all know who your boss is, and we all know who the staff are. If these are individual contributors down here, internal peers would be those anti-personnel people from human resources, would be the finance guy, would be the building maintenance guy, would be the guy from purchasing. Okay? Now, now these are my peers, remember? Does the woman who runs the human resource department, does she report to me? No. Can I fire her? No. Can she make my life miserable? Yes. How about the guy from building maintenance? Can he make my life miserable? Oh yeah. You sure can. How about if I want a new desk or if I need a new chair from purchasing? Can he make my life easier or miserable? No, you sure can. I want to nurture that relationship. I want to nurture that relationship because I want the active support of those people around me. In the HR department, I want to. If I need new talent or if I need a new body, I'm going to increase my headcount. I want to be her friend, and I want her to be my friend because I want her to take care of me. Remember, she's got unlimited demand on her time, and she's got limited resources. So she just queues people up. She just puts them in the line. She wraps up her peers. Remember, she's a peer. I'm her peer too. She's going to wrap me up in red tape and queuing because she can't satisfy all the demands on her. What I want is to have such a relationship with all of these guys that if I need anything, that they'll help me, or they won't harm me. Okay, so remember, the people, all my internal peers, I need their support. Purchasing, HIDAC, if the guy from finance, oh, let's don't mess with the money guy. I want to get paid on time, and I want my people to get paid on time. Part of your job as the manager is to get resources from the organization, to give tools to your staff so that they can get something done. Okay? Now, to round out the molecule,